Hey everybody, this is Greg-Petix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the Petixonian Institute of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Future, numbers 1 through 5, the solo anthology comic by Tommi Musturi. Tommi Musturi is a Finnish cartoonist. He was born in 1975, and he's been doing comics for the past 20 years or so. But I only have these, which is a pretty recent releases from him. The Future had 10 issues. On this episode, I'm just going to look at the first 5. I don't want to crowd it up too much because I want to be able to show you as much as I can of these amazing comics. So, as we can see by this spread of covers, this guy can draw in so many different styles. So many of these covers you'd think is a totally different artist, and especially the interior art. There's stories where it looks like 5 different artists are doing the anthology, but it's all him, and pretty amazing stuff. So let's get started on the first issue here. Future number 1. Love this cover. Obviously an homage to Marvel Comics. Just these two insane, zany beings fighting each other. There's a lot of socialist subtext to these comics. Tommi Musturi seems to be pretty thoughtful about capitalism and economic systems and stuff. Every inside front cover has this like dead guy. He's like rotting, and he's, I think, in the future, and he's basically just telling us these weird monologues, and they're kind of odd. And I don't know how much of this is due to the translation. These are all translated by this guy, T. Rentala. So I don't know if this guy just writes in a weird, quirky style, but I kind of have a feeling maybe the translator's not quite getting it, because a lot of this stuff is odd. This kind of first story here sets up the tone for the whole series. We see this idyllic picnic of this family. It's not so idyllic, though. There's hazardous, toxic waste signs. This guy's shooting geese for fun. They're just eating all this disgusting meat. They have a hog's head. They're smoking and they're drinking. So it's kind of like they're like typical ugly Americans, But they're happy. The kids are just like killing geese for fun, just throwing rocks at them. And then all of a sudden, this shadow kind of passes over everything. And it's the coloring is really good here. You can just totally feel the mood darken from, here to here. Now it's like, oh shoot, what's going on? And the family huddles together. The ground opens up like it's the apocalypse. And the last page is just them on this little outcrop of lava all around them. Future. So this is like a prologue to the whole series. And that's some good stuff. This is an ongoing series, Future Inc. And these two guys are floating through space in what looks like a grocery bag, a plastic bag. And but that's their starship. And their sensors find some planet with maybe some interesting things to find. So they head over there. And these guys bicker all the time. One of them's farting all the time, and the guys get really pissed off because they're in a enclosed spaceship. It's kind of goofy humor. So next issue, I guess we'll find out what they find. He always has a page of just strips, of course, in totally different styles. Look at this. Everything's different. Different coloring, different production. He's got this, the Stoners, which is like this Fred Flintstone dude. Kind of non sequitur. He's always bashing things with his club. The Preemies are almost like Peanuts, but these cute little kids are actually spouting, socialist theories and anti-capitalist theories every strip. And then he has Tristan the Magician here. Once again, a totally different style. And this is just, I shouldn't get too much into these stories because we got a lot to cover. But he's a great magician. He's on stage doing all these amazing tricks. And even summons a dinosaur. But when the night is done, he starts drinking, gets really loaded, is pissing in public, grabs a woman's ass at the circus. I guess he works at the circus. And then the strong man beats the shit out of him. And he says, even magic has its limits. So just a little incident in that guy's life. The reality show is in every issue as well. And this is really is kind of just about ugly Americans. This is in the near future, and just everyone is stupid and foul and venal. They're just, everyone's terrible. It's like Idiocracy, but everyone's even worse because they're just cruel and heartless, as well as being really stupid. And they're just consuming everything they see. So they always have to go through these, it's a game show in the future, a reality type game show. But everyone gets humiliated and they have to do this disgusting shit. And, just like reality shows now, kind of. But here this art is totally different. It's just, I don't know, it's very underground to me. It just looks nasty. It just looks like these are bad people. Oh, I love this one-page strip. Just totally different style. Totally experimenting with a different art style here. And it's just this guy running home to tell his girlfriend, we're fucked. The squares have declared all art illegal. We must run. And that's it. We see a lot of these comic strips. I think they're nameless. But it basically shows this decadent future where I assume a handful of people get to live so well off. Every dream they have is met by technology and their wealth. And they're just, of course, they're full of ennui and they're just bored and their senses are dulled. And here's a weird little last panel here. This guy's upside down. They always have this fake letter page where people write in with questions, and I believe that zombie guy from the inside front cover answers them. Very weird and odd, the answers. And a beautiful back cover. An ad for Future Inc. Digital archaeology, secondhand memory, soul digitizing, dream recording, time management, artificial life. Future number 2. Great cover here. This rich asshole's putting the earth into a golf hole. I didn't mention this, I should have. These are published by Boeing Being, if you're looking for these. I don't know how easy these are to find. I found them at Floating World Comics here in Portland. They have a lot of stuff that most people don't carry. So I was lucky to find these. I found 2 issues, and then I ordered all the other issues because I loved it so much. Here's that guy again. Zombie, he's like the crypt keeper, kind of. We see the stoners again. This one makes no sense at all, but the cartooning is wonderful. It's completely animated. And then we got the washed out colors of this protozoa strip. We see the preemies again. And the little magician, which is kind of a nod to Winsor McKay's Little Nemo. I don't know if that's Tristram from the last issue. I think it is. We have another reality show segment. This time the art's a little different. Just as interesting. But it's almost like he's experimenting every issue, trying to find a new style to show these foul people. And the reality show takes an ugly turn where it's basically like a gladiatorial combat. They've got to kill each other for the big prize. I just like how even the colors, I'm pretty sure purposefully ugly. Because he's a great colorist in so many of these stories. But he makes all this garish, color combinations that kind of show you how ugly this world is. It's just nasty. Sounds of the past. This is obviously from the future where things have changed a lot. And these are pretty good. It's almost like a little Mad article, but better. Here we have another Tristram the Magician strip. And this is just a silly gag. He's looking in the mirror, looking how old he's getting, and he casts a spell. But then the guy in the mirror kicks him in the ass. And he says, life ain't just a trick. But yeah, I really like this art. Totally different than the first, stories. Here's a little one-pager. And we have the next chapter of Future Inc. These guys are still trying to find that planet. Look at the colors here. There is some gorgeous shit. The blues here. It's wonderful. So they find a planet. Looks like Earth, doesn't it? And One of them agrees to stay in the ship because he could give two shits. He's just this boorish ass. He's like, who cares? You know, the robot will collect everything, all the samples. So he's like, I want to stretch my legs. I'm going down. Fuck you. Fine. So that's going to be continued next issue. Here's a little one-page strip. Very weird and crazy colors again. And nice stuff. Then we see another chapter. I think this is kind of in that world of where everyone's filthy rich, you know. Well, the handful are filthy rich. And he's playing there's all these video games where he's the character, this rich capitalist guy. And he loses. Game over. His character gets killed. So he calls up his secretary, basically, and he just causes this economic devastation and ecological, just because he's mad. He's like, sack everybody in the whole facility, raise prices, deconstruct, cover everything with concrete. Just because he's in a tiff about losing this video game. But that's the kind of power he has. I feel so much better now. And he's standing ankle deep in his ball pit. His life is just, you know, perfect. But he's an evil fuck. Basically, for him to live this way, 1 million people have to live like shit, you know? And that's how capitalism works, I guess. And here's just a beautiful drawing of this tree. Watercolors, I believe. Really nice. But it's actually the start of our first encounter with the town of Centra, which we'll see in 1 second. These people are wandering. It's pretty art. It's kind of a very hippie comic, the Centra. It's just, here's Centra. We see it for the first time. And we're going to see this in the next few issues. And this guy welcomes the visitors. He says, welcome to Centra. We'll show you around. I'm the elder here. Another letter page. And here's a beautiful back cover. Welcome to the world as it used to be. So, Tommi Musturi is really good at showing this horrible, ugly present and future. It's pretty much our present, but he's, you know, pushing it a little. But then he also has this vision of this idyllic world, how the world could be, or at least used to be. He probably thinks it's too late. This is one of my favorite covers. This is amazing. Every friend I showed this to was just like blown away. This crazy cartooning. Just, obviously that's goofy, but he can't be sued because he flipped his head upside down. Oh man, that's good stuff. The zombie host again. This is really interesting. He does this total tribute to Don Martin. I've never seen anyone ape Don Martin this well. And it's just giving people advice on how to live their life, a full life. But I like this Don Martin style cartooning. So now we go back to Future Inc. The guy, his dropship enters Earth's atmosphere. And he comes out. We finally see the guy. I love this cartooning. It's just a really great classic cartoony style. And he's looking around. He's got his little flying robot friend. And they actually, first thing he finds is a copy of Future Comics. And he says, what a load of garbage, zap that. So these guys are just going around. They find it looks like a Kandinsky painting. And he's like, erase that. So he's not a very good archaeologist. Anything he just doesn't seem to like, he just tells the robot to destroy it. Instead of just leaving it there. It's kind of weird, but it kind of shows how stupid mankind can be. But then he does find something. I love these colors, by the way. It's like a great European album. These beautiful colors. But then he does find a shell. And he's fascinated by it. So this one he does not destroy. And he takes it back to the ship. Yeah, look at that color. That's some nice stuff. So here's our first real chapter of seeing Centra, the Lost City. And all this comic is this almost like travelogue, where this elder is showing us, the reader. It's like first person. And we're following him around. And he's just telling us about how they live here. And it's this perfect idyllic setting. Nobody cares about money. Everyone's creative. They work just enough to, get things done, make enough food, and then they do creative pursuits. And there's no crime. it's kind of sad reading it. It's just like, well, I guess there's no reason why we couldn't do this, but another Tristram the Magician, this time using a different color palette, but still the monocolor. And this is, once again, I really like this art. Gets on a flying carpet. He's flying around. He's doing magic spells on the boon. Fucking with shit. And he makes it back to a circus. And he's passed out. And he says, I'm afraid that was a little too much magic again. Basically, this guy's a drunk. This is the Media Museum. All these TVs of various eras are just saying random stuff. I like the cartooning, but, you know, it's kind of silly. I don't know if, once again, it could be the translation problem, so I don't know. So now we see that decadent future world again. This is so amazing. This old woman, at the beginning of her day, this is what happens. These machines totally, like, inject her saggy tits, and they do these mini operations on her. So every morning she goes through this, and she comes out looking like a young, kind of Barbie doll, statuesque woman. And for breakfast, she can pick whatever animal she wants, and she gets to see it killed. She picks a panda, an endangered species, and they roast it for her. And she's very spoiled, you know. She's like, this is a load of garbage. She basically, every whim is satisfied for her. And like I said earlier, for her to live this way, I'm sure like 10,000 people have to live in utter squalor. It's ridiculous. So she orders a kid. It's just like ordering something on Amazon. She's like, hey, I'm going to try having a baby. Or at least an adopted kid. But they send her a really ugly one. I should have focused on that more. So she says, presses the kill button. So she just kills the baby because it's too ugly. Then she smashes all the shit in her apartment. And she's like, that's better. And she's got this little critter, slave, you know, whatever, servant. And she's like, tell me about sex. And then she orders it to lick it. And she just looks emotionless while this little creature's going down on her, lapping at her vagina. And that's the end of the story. Oh, I love this style here. Once again, he's totally experimenting and doing some different stuff. And this couple is trying to escape an enraged mob. And they're in this little gully hiding out. And they say, at least we still have each other. It's kind of a ironic ending. But yeah, feast your eyes on this art. This is some really good abstract art. Good stuff. We have our little one, page of strips. Again, the preemies and the stoners. Fred Fonseca's just going around bonking rich capitalists, and it looks like he's bonking the Pope here. I guess that's some kind of heavy-handed political message. And we have a beautiful back cover. Once again, doing this warped Disney style. That's some great shit. I love this green, too. It's amazing stuff. Future 4, once again, look at this cover. Totally different. You'd totally suspect this was a different artist. Almost looks like Steve Bissette with crazy coloring. And we got a zombie guy again. We got another chapter in our reality show one, but this looks very different because we're focusing on this group of artists and creative people who are underground. They're like criminals of this world, or at least, terrorists. And they're planning to take down the reality show. But it looks like they don't have much of a chance. It's just like 8 of them or whatever against this huge multinational corporation and society. But we'll find out what happens next issue. Future Inc. again. The guys up in the spaceship just playing video games couldn't care less that, there's an unexplored world that they're looking at. And his buddy's down there. And we got another chapter in the Centra travelogue. We see all the people of Centra. They all dress the way they want. Everyone's very creative. Usually make their own clothes. They barter. They don't have money. Just seems really nice. Here's a nice little 2-pager. Just this character's yelling at us, the reader, abusing us verbally. And kind of interesting. once again, this totally different style that we haven't seen yet. This weird, spare, mark making. And just this weird little thing where this rich guy is in his office and he slips on something which kicks it out the window. It hits a guy, construction worker, on the head. He falls off the beam, obviously dies, falls like a long way. And then there's a funeral for the construction worker. Then we see his kids grow up and have various, things happen to them. It's a very weird little silent comic, but I like it. You can definitely read into it, and you have to use your imagination. It doesn't spell everything out for you. Here's another one of those like mad type articles, The Sounds of Today. And this is like really good lettering. He's trying to approximate sounds with lettering. And the last sizzle of a crashed spirit. Biff. It is just spiraling down. Nice stuff. I like these little experimental comics. And here we have the reality show, a little like sidebar. Gives you profiles of some of their the people who go on the show. And these are all really like good satiric examples of derelicts and hippies and senior citizens drawn in that reality show style. And our one page of little strips again, and the letter page. And here's a weird little back cover, just all these random characters interacting. Looks like it could be from like an official handbook of the Marvel Universe, but a much weirder universe. Future 5. It's Sentra on the cover, at least that art style. I think that is Sentra though. It's that like a hippie-ish watercolor gentle art that he uses for that comic. And we start off with Sentra, continuing our journey through the city. This woman's telling us how things operate there. It's kind of slight, the storyline. Not much of a story at all. It's really just like showing us this wonderful city, and it's almost like a sociological tour of the city and how they work and live. And we have another one of those unnamed Richie Rich Future comics. This couple is they're like the one in the first one. They're completely, just full of ennui, and their senses have been dulled by too much decadence, and so they decide to change something, and they're like, maybe we should make love with each other. I guess they haven't in a long time. And the husband even asks, is it permitted? I could get infected. She's like, who cares? I just want to feel something. So it's kind of this hopeful ending. Maybe in the future, even the shitty future, at least people will break out every now and then and try to have real human emotion. This is once again a really nice art. Just totally different style than the last one. And this is the reality show again. And there's this guy that they give special powers, and they turn him into Hunk. And he has a week to save the world or do some amazing mission, something like that. That's part of the reality show. Now we go back here to another just gentle art style. Look at these colors, the deep blues, the purples, just amazing. I love how this isn't on slick paper either. It's a nice matte paper. Now we got this other comic drawn in this totally cartoony style. This guy looks like he could have Garfield as his cat. And he's just this hacker dude and telling you about his exploits, how he's a really good hacker. But then his big weapon, him and his hacker buddies released, actually kind of fuck things up. But he's like, he doesn't care. He basically hates humanity. He's a misanthrope. And he's safe in his little compound, his conclave. And then he tells the cameraman, leave me alone now. I ain't saying another word. Yeah, he almost looks like Peter Griffin, this guy. And here we have another great style. This little Tintin skinhead. And we see all these really poor people. This is like one of those, almost just like a poem, very nebulous what's going on. This dog poops. Just love this art. And I mean, I'm sure I could read this 10 times and maybe get something out of it. Like a poem, you know? It doesn't make it easy to understand. It's not putting it on a platter for you. But, I think we got one more page of the preemies and the stoners and the little magician and the letter page. And like always, we always have a beautiful back cover. That looks very underground. That looks like it could be a cover of Slow Death. So his logos are always amazing too. Every issue has at least one great new logo that's totally different than the last ones we've seen. So that's it. The first half of the 10-issue run of Future. I have all 10 issues. I'll probably, the next episode will be the next 5 issues. I'm going to show you 6 through 10. I just didn't want to do them all at once because that would be a lot to absorb. But I totally recommend you hunting these down. God, these covers are so good. It's really heavy, hard cardstock covered. Sorry. It's a really nice production. These are only $6. They're imported, I assume. And they're just full color, no ads, and they're $6. At least at the Floating World. They put a price sticker on them. These don't even have a price on them. That's how anti-capitalist this guy, Tommi Musturi, is. So I hope you like these, and I hope you find your own copies. And I'll see you next time where we'll look at the next 5 of these. The last 5 of these, because it only ran 10 issues. Okay, have a good night.